Section 1. You will hear a telephone conversation between a person wanting to join a fitness centre and a member of staff. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning, Best Fitness.
Hello, Best Fitness. Help me. I need to get fit.
Well then, you've certainly phoned the right place. Here at Best Fitness, we offer a wide range of activities and facilities to help people of all sizes and ages improve their fitness levels.
Sounds perfect for me. So, what do I need to do?
Well, the first thing is to take some details from you. Wait, have you been a member here before?
No, I'm new. In fact, this is the first time I've been to a fitness centre of any kind.
No need to worry about that. We'll look after you. So, can I ask your name?
Yes, it's Tom Wintle.
Ah, like the season. You know I prefer the summer.
No, Wintle. W-I-N-T-L-E. Everybody makes that mistake.
Oh, OK, sorry about that. Right, got it now. So, why do you want to join Best Fitness?
Well, that's actually a bit of a long story. Basically, I've decided to raise some money for charity for personal reasons, and I thought of several things to do, like organise a 24-hour football match or have a cake sale.
I see.
But then my friends suggested I try and do a charity run, and I thought, yes, that's a great idea. And then I thought, I need to join a gym.
Ha, absolutely yes. OK, that's great. I'm sure we can find the right course of training for you. Apart from that, are you interested in any other activities?
What have you got?
What haven't we got? There's tennis coaching, spinning. We have a climbing wall too.
I think I'll do mountain climbing for the next charity event. But put me down for tennis, definitely. And, of course, you have a swimming pool?
Of course, the biggest in the region.
Well, I'll certainly use that too.
Great. So just a few more details. Can I get a contact phone number from you?
Right, yes, it's not always easy to catch me at work, and my mobile's not working at the moment. So the best thing is to reach me at home in the evening at 3138859.
3138855.
No, not 5 at the end, 9.
3138859. Got it. OK, and we also need your date of birth, please.
13th of January 1977.
You said the 13th, not the 30th, right?
That's right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Now that's sorted, let's talk about some membership options.
Yes, that's probably a good idea. How much is it going to cost me to get fit?
Well, that depends on you, of course. Basically, we have 3 membership packages: Starter, Silver and Gold. And obviously, the bigger package you choose, the more benefits you get.
I'm guessing Starter is the cheapest.
Correct. And obviously the most basic, but for access to all our main facilities apart from the pool, we think that £10 a month is very reasonable.
Pool's extra, eh? Does Silver include the pool?
It does. And it's half the price of our Gold package, which includes everything, of course, unlimited access for £50 a month.
So £25 a month for Silver?
Well, with Silver there are some excellent benefits which you don't get with Starter. If you fancy yourself on the dance floor, you can join our lessons every Thursday. Learn to move to the music.
I'll save my dancing shoes for Saturday night, I think. Tell me more about the Gold membership.
Well, one very exclusive advantage of choosing this package is not only unlimited access to all the facilities, as well as the dance classes I mentioned, but a chance to relax in the club lounge after your session. There are complimentary drinks, and we also have a massage room for those aches and pains.
Now that's tempting. Anything else?
Yes, with Gold and Silver, we ask you to renew your membership every year, every 12 months to be precise. But people who choose Starter are usually those who are not so serious about training, and obviously we want them to continue, so...
It's a 6-month renewal then.
Actually, it's 3 months. We think it encourages people to keep coming back.
I can see why.
One last thing, we have a restaurant on site too. You can get a discount there on other food and drinks. That's included in the Silver package too, I forgot to say. But with Gold, we also offer you one private session with one of our personal trainers. Now that'll really help your training.
Ha ha, you're a good saleswoman. But I must say that does sound interesting. Let me have a think and get back to you.
No problem. We're always ready at Best Fitness.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a student welfare officer talking to a small group of students just before the beginning of term. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the talk and answer questions 11 to 16.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. My name's Elizabeth Reed, and I'm your Assistant Welfare Officer. What I'd like to do now is tell you a little more about some of the social facilities available on the campus, and also to tell you something about what the town has to offer. As you probably know already, the Student Union building is the main centre of social life here, as indeed it is in most British universities. The Union runs a weekly programme of events for all tastes. Oh, everything from discos to talks by guest speakers. Many of these events are fundraising activities for charities, which the Union takes very seriously. They manage the Students' Union paper shop, selling magazines and newspapers, as well as stationery, sweets and so on. Let me see. There's the ticket shop, where you can get some very good deals on, well, for example, coaches to London, or inexpensive charter flights. As cheap as you'll get anywhere, people say. Or tickets for big pop groups playing here or at other venues all over the country, or plays in London. Oh, and we mustn't forget the Union cafeteria and the big new diner. Yes, did you have a question?
Yeah, does the Union also provide help with any problems? I mean, advice on financial problems, for example, or does the university provide that?
Yes, the Union run their own advice service, offering help with financial matters, such as grants. I'm sure you realise anything medical should be discussed with the University Medical Service, which also has an excellent counselling centre. I think that was made clear yesterday. However, the Union has its own officer who can give advice on legal problems.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the talk and answer questions 17 to 20.
Now, on to Radford. For a town of its size, Radford has some unusually good leisure and community facilities and has quite a good shopping centre with an interesting range of shops. As you go into Radford, there's a new, well, quite new, Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's on the outskirts at a place called Renton. Above the pool, there's a high-tech fitness centre. Are there any ice skaters here? No? Oh, pity. The facilities for ice skating are excellent. Well, the new Metro Tower, right in the centre of town, has got an ice rink and a sports hall for squash, badminton, volleyball and several other indoor sports. And in the same building, there's a new cinema with 6 screens. Then, let me see, in the main square, just 2 minutes' walk from the Metro Tower, there's the Theatre Royal, which often gets London productions on tour. And in the streets nearby, you can find a good range of inexpensive restaurants, including Indian, Chinese, Thai and Italian.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear a conversation between a university employee and 2 student representatives who are discussing the planning of a new university library. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25. Hi there, thanks for coming today. I'm Liz Shaw, the project manager for the construction of the new university library.
Hi, we're Sally and Ben from the Student Association. Thanks for inviting us today.
Yeah, hi Liz.
As you know, planning permission for the new site was granted last week, so we are all very excited about that.
Yeah, great news. We had a big meeting last week and everyone cheered when it was announced. I think they've all had enough of the old place.
Ha, yes, it can get a little chilly in winter. Now we are currently consulting with different interest groups. Obviously, students are going to be the main users of the library, so any thoughts you guys can offer will be extremely valuable.
Okay, great. So opening should be in around 9 months. Is that right?
Longer than that. About 18 months, isn't it?
That's right, Ben, although delays are also possible. Now, I just wanted to go over some of the key points in the document, things that will be of most interest to students.
Fire away.
Well, perhaps the biggest change for the new library is the open plan design. We basically wanted to get away from having all the rooms separated from each other, that old traditional stuffy library atmosphere. Our plan is more like a shopping mall, with escalators taking students from one level to the next, and then different browsing sections along the walls of each floor.
But won't it get a bit noisy?
Well, it might, but also on each floor there will be soundproof reading rooms, so there will be no noise coming in. These rooms will also contain individual pods that can be hired for an even more focused study experience.
Oh, sounds impressive.
Liz, obviously nowadays with building design there are concerns about environmental impact, but I think I saw something in the plans about making use of green energy.
That's right. The library will have over 200 windows, including what will be the UK's largest oval-shaped window at the top of the building, to allow as much natural light into the building as possible. Good for sunny days. The roof of the building will also have a number of small wind turbines, and our target is that these will generate at least 20% of the energy needs of the building.
Oh, that's great.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, You have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30. So those are a few of the core features of the new library. So now feel free to ask any questions you have.
Thanks. Well, as Ben mentioned earlier, a few questions came up in our meeting last week. Firstly, the proposal to get rid of a lot of the library computers is a concern for some.
Well, yes, it's true that we are reducing the number of provided computers to 30 from the previous 100. What we would prefer is for students to bring their own laptops, and we are significantly increasing the number of plug-in points for these.
OK, sounds reasonable. On a related point, internet speed is something of an issue in the current place, especially when the library is full. Presumably, those problems will be ironed out.
Yes, that is a priority. And also the local council have promised us extra funds. They want this to be a flagship project for Wi-Fi connectivity in the city, and the aim is to make it the fastest among national universities.
Fantastic. Oh, another thing that came up was book availability. With the new building design, it seems like the number of books on shelves at a given time will decrease.
Yes, it's true that we are moving away from rooms stuffed with books towards a more modern and spacious environment. However, we will still have the computer stations so that students can find and order books to borrow. Also, we are developing our digital library considerably.
I was just going to ask about digital access. About seating. With the new place being more spacious, will there still be room for chairs and tables? Lots of students like to be near the books when they're studying so they can just get up and grab something.
Well, for browsing bookshelves, we are more likely to just be having benches, as our research shows that most users prefer a separation of browsing and study areas. But that's something that can be adjusted if necessary.
I also wanted to ask about disabled access, but we are waiting on feedback from a survey sent out to the Equal Access Committee.
OK, but rest assured that easy access for people with disabilities is a priority for the project management team, especially things like wheelchair ramps.
Liz, thanks for meeting with us today. The new library sounds amazing. Lots to report back to the association. Oh, before we finish, could we fix a date with you for the next meeting? How about 21st of January, 2 weeks from today?
Let me just check my diary. Well, I'm actually pretty busy that day. How about the day after, at 10 a.m, same place?
OK with you, Ben? Great. Well, see you then.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecture about the lack of rainfall in Australia. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen to the lecture and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning. This morning, we are continuing our look at Australia and its natural problems. Actually, dryness, or aridity, as it is generally called by geographers, is probably the most challenging of Australia's natural problems. And so it's very important in this course for you to have a good understanding of the subject. For Australia, water is a precious resource, and its wise management is of the greatest importance. As I've said, Australia is a dry continent, second only to Antarctica in its lack of rainfall. Long hours of hot sunshine and searing winds give Australia an extremely high rate of evaporation, far more than in most other countries. It's estimated that approximately 87% of Australia's rainfall is lost through evaporation, compared with just over 60% in Europe and Africa, and 48% in North America. You generally think of Africa as being a very hot and dry place, but it's not, in comparison with Australia. In many parts of Australia, standing water, that is, dams, puddles and so forth, dry up rapidly, and some rainfall barely penetrates the soil. The reason for this is that the moisture is absorbed by thirsty plants. Some parts of Australia are dry because rainwater seeps quickly through sandy soils and into the rock below. In parts of Australia, this water, which seeps through the sandy soil, collects underground to form underground lakes. Water from these subterranean lakes can be pumped to the surface and tapped, and so used for various purposes above the ground. In fact, extensive underground water resources are available over more than half of Australia's land area. But most of the water is too salty to be used for human consumption or for the irrigation of crops. However, most inland farmers do rely on this water for watering their animals and, where possible, to a lesser extent, for irrigation. Underground water can flow very large distances and can be kept in underground reservoirs for a very long time. Water from these underground reservoirs bubbles to the surface as springs in some parts of the country, and these rare sources of permanent water were vital to early explorers of inland Australia and to other pioneers last century who used the springs for survival. But in many places, levels have fallen drastically through continuous use over the years. This has necessitated the pumping of the water to the surface. Remarkably, underground water sources in Australia supply about 18% of total water consumption. So you can see it's quite an important source of water in this dry land. So, most of the consumption of water in Australia comes from water which is kept above ground. More than 300 dams regulate river flows around the country. The dams store water for a variety of functions. The rural irrigation of crops, without which many productive areas of the country would not be able to be farmed. The regulation of flooding, a serious problem which will be dealt with later in the course. And last but not least, the harnessing of the force of gravity for the generation of electricity. That is all we have time for this morning, but you'll be able to do further study on this important area in the library. I have a handout here with references on the subject, so if you're interested, please come up to the desk and take a copy. Next week's lecture is a case study of an outback farm, and it'll be going into detail about some of the problems we've discussed here.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.